So what you get today is really a director of your California State Park System that's just going to speak from the heart. First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. So I had one purpose. Yes, there's the super bloom, and there's the spectacular Anza-Borrego Park to experience. But my one goal in making this trip and coming to see you was to make sure that you understood just how very much we recognize the importance of this partnership. And that in Sacramento, we often speak about this exact partnership as a shining example of what we'd like to clone and see more of across the state. Some of the things you've heard in terms of changes, I think it's important for you to know, we recognize that we cannot do it alone and we don't do it alone. And we also recognize that as a state entity and a state governmental department, we're not always easy to partner with. So one of the things that we did recently is we pulled a team together to just think about how it is that we can better partner with all flavors of partners, right? Nonprofits, volunteers, local governments, communities, and really reach beyond kind of typically how a state organization behaves. Now, it's great news for us. It's great news for all of you, but there was a downside. We actually ended up hiring Paige Rogowski, who was the executive director for this organization. And so thank you so much for not giving me too much grief about this today. And those of you that did, I will tell you is what you have is a bridge. You have someone on the inside, and I want to thank you for sparing her. Because in state government, we have a tendency to move the same people around, and partnering and partnership really requires a certain kind of language. And what we're hoping that Paige can do is help to demystify that for us and help to build a bridge. And so she has a tremendous, tremendous responsibility. I now know where her office is, so I do walk-bys and I check on her. I think you heard about all of the highlights of this partnership, but I want to highlight some really key things. I think it started with a dream. It was a call to action, a recognition that we needed to preserve and protect this special place. And as difficult as that is to imagine, there are people out there that don't necessarily recognize that. And so it truly was a call to action. And so the Anza-Borrego Foundation was the answer to that call. It's a very fascinating history. This foundation is tied into the state parks history in a way that other foundations aren't. So let me share a little bit about that. What I've been told is it was actually the vision of Director Mott. Director Mott was a California State Parks Director. He went on to be a National Parks Director and the founder of California State Parks Foundation. And there was a call and you folks responded to it. And we all know in this room that this is not easy to do. We took a tour today with someone that talked about in the beginning how you worked out of a little cigar box and with cash only. And that's how these things start. It's a grassroots effort. And really, California State Parks only exist because of a grassroots effort. This place exists because people recognized that it was special and it was worth preserving. It was not a government's idea. It was people that came before us that recognized the importance of protecting this special place. And in a lot of ways, it's a promise. It's a promise that government makes. It's a promise that all of us make, not only to each other, but to our children and our children's children. There's actually a saying, and it's part of our park ethics at the department. We talk about 7 generations. And we think long and hard about how our actions today affect generations out. And it's a tremendous, tremendous responsibility. And so I want to thank you for toiling away and being happy warriors with us, because it's not something that we can do alone. It can be very lonely. And I'm sure that all of you have felt lonely at times in that effort. So I just really want to thank you for that. The other thing I would encourage you, so many of you came up to me and asked, what can we do? And what I encourage you to do, and frankly, it's part of when we are at our best at the Department of Parks and Recreation, is that we think beyond these partnerships as checkbooks and financial commitments. That in so many ways, the way you make a difference is that you cheer us on and that you're cheerleaders. And it's great that you come and share your comments with me, but I will tell you, your words and your passion and your dedication for these special places can go so much further than a Parks Department director speaking about them on her own or our own staff. Now, speaking about our staff, I think to spend any time with the Department of Recreation staff, you very quickly start to hear the term Parks family. And it's something that I heard early on, but I have to tell you, I have never experienced something like that the way I have with this group of people. I struggle at times to find the words because you know, in working with them, that it is a lifestyle. These are difficult jobs. And as you know also, in any large organization, particularly in government, it is so hard to actually accomplish something. It's easy to walk around and talk about the things that we're going to do, but to actually accomplish it is something nothing short of a miracle. And it has been the greatest professional privilege and honor of my life to work alongside them and also to spend so much time with all of you. And so it's very touching, and it means so much to us to hear when you folks recognize that. And know always, we want to do more. Our staff want to do more. They want to be more places with you, and they want to be more helpful. You heard a lot of the benefits of the foundation, but let me tell you about a couple of things that just may not seem like big deals, but we could not do it without the foundation. You heard about the acquisitions. You probably heard about the wonderful interpretive programs. You heard about the programs touching youth, which is so important, not just because it's a nice thing to be good to kids, but because this, we know, is a huge, huge responsibility. And while we're here to celebrate the great work, we know we have so much work ahead of us, and we owe a tremendous debt of gratitude to the people that came before us. But before we know it, we will be replaced by younger kids. And so if we don't impart upon our youth today that love and that passion that all of us have, we will have failed. And so when we think about these youth programs, that to us, it's critical to continue and to have a whole new group of happy warriors that work on these issues. So I really encourage you to reach kids where you can. The other things I would say, it was funny, folks drafted some talking points and they described this one as, oh, there's some mundane things that the foundation does for us. And let me tell you what it was. And what I heard a lot about is that, you know, we grab the kids and we bring them together. We can put in trails in parks. We can buy the vehicles. We can use social media and bring people together for Flowergeddon. But to actually, in state government, be able to provide muffins, coffee, pizza, and salad, just to make people feel welcome is not something that is easy for any state entity to do. And so those are the simple things that make such a big difference to our staff. I'll close the way I opened. Just know how much we appreciate everything that you do. I think at our best as a department, we supersede being a department, and we forge very close, meaningful relationships with the foundation and also the community. So thank you very much. As a mom of 2 kids I know that they can come here and experience this great place. Thank you as a father of a daughter who used the great outdoors to instill upon his 2 little girls the importance of self-reliance and independence and how we fit in the great web of life. And thank you on behalf of the Department of Parks and Recreation for everything you do. And even more importantly, thank you on behalf of the Parks family. So thank you.